Okay, Andrea, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Andrea, and in order to have my physical therapist license, I have to obtain a 24 on speaking, and that's why I'm here with Aaron. My thought it was, okay, I need 24, but I want a point higher because to be sure to achieve 24. And that's it.
Okay, good. So you see me focusing on speaking 26, so that gives you confidence that we'll get at least 24. Good. And
Exactly.
for some of the other PTs watching, they might be confused because their requirement is to get 26 on speaking. Can you say a little bit about your requirement, 24?
I'm based in Texas, and actually in Texas, it's required 24, but other states require 26, actually. Mostly they require 26. Yeah, I was stuck with the templates, and that what give me a lot of issues thinking in, develop
Okay.
my ideas.
Do you already see that? Like, independent from what you know, I believe, and what I've told you,
Mhm.
do you already see that and feel it? Are you already certain on your own that the old way of speaking templates was limiting you, was constraining your fluency?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, it was constraining my fluency. It was when I speak naturally, it's way better. It's easier to me to speak and to think also, because when I was using templates, a lot of effort it was to remember the templates before speaking, and then create the idea and the phrases for templates. Absolutely, there's a great difference. Absolutely, yeah.
A lot of effort. Yeah, it's almost like it's distracting to remember the structure and then to
Exactly,
fill it in according to whatever somebody decided it should
exactly.
be instead of, and then it sounds like the better version of speaking naturally is your focus, your attention is freed up, which opens up your fluency, which no longer limits your creativity.
Yep.
TOEFL speaking, question 3. Okay, Andrea, here's some advice that we've talked about before. Tell me what you think about this. So here's my approach to question number 3. Here's what I told myself before I took the test and got 30 out of 30 on speaking. I noticed that with question number 3, not with the other questions, 1, 2, and 4, but with question 3, I'm never fully satisfied with my answer. I always feel like I wish I would have had 10 more seconds or at least 5 more seconds. Never am I satisfied with my answer to question number 3. So what I've come to realize is I should only, if I give an answer that I feel is 80% good, that's great. If I give an answer that I feel is 90% complete, that's amazing. Instead of holding myself to 100% like I do with the other questions. Andrea, does that make sense to you? Maybe you disagree a little bit with that. If you do, I'd like to hear it. Or what do you think about that?
No, I agree. The question three is a very difficult, probably the most difficult of the four questions in the speaking. And but actually, for me, it was a great. It was great to know from you how to approach to this question and to find quickly and more important information. With which sentence is more important, and that's helped me a lot. You gave me a secret for this question.
Okay, good, good. And so we're going to do that. It is the most complicated question. So the way that you, Andrea, and the test takers watching this video, listening to this audio can also benefit from this is recognize that that's the most complicated question. Maybe the test makers designed this question to be like a stress test. Instead of giving us the appropriate amount of time to give a 100% good, complete answer, maybe their thoughts were, let's have one question be incredibly challenging, almost impossible to feel 100% satisfied with. Let's give them one question that instead of holding them to a 100% accuracy threshold, we're going to give them less time. We're going to give them a more densely complicated reading passage. And we want to see, how do they do with the pressure of this incredibly challenging question? So if we think about it that way, we can give ourselves a little bit of a break, 10% or 20% of a break, and know that if we're answering 80% well, that's very good because of the nature of this question.
Conflict between business and client, and when terms and conditions are not clearly defined.
Not clearly defined here. I want you to hear how I connect that with the verbal agreement. Watch how I go back and forth, connect.
Okay.
Okay, so dot.
Mm-hmm.
When the business owner and client only had a verbal agreement, the terms were not clearly defined. Later on, they both had different memories about what they talked about. They didn't have a written contract or a typed contract or an emailed contract that they could go back and refer to make sure that they're on the same page, to make sure they're in 100% agreement. So this led to the client creeping on her expectations of the business owner's work.
I just repeat what were in the lecture, in the reading, and also what the professor said, exactly what they said. You add something that you, I don't know to explain, but you add more about the relationship between the business and the customer. You know, you were, it's not inventing, but it's what actually happened between a customer and a business. I was just remain on what the professor said and just reporting what the professor said. This was my limit. No, I didn't add nothing new.
Okay, good. You can hear me, quote, describing it in more detail, which is the definition of explain, and explain is the instructions, are the instructions that we are given. So yes, you hear me doing what we are instructed to do, not what the speaking templates prevent us from doing. Okay, those of you listening and watching this, what did you think when Andrea said that he likes that he heard me saying things instead of just copying and pasting? Notice how, again, Andrea had an optimistic, positive view on that. I know many of you other test takers don't have a view like that. A lot of people that I work with will unfortunately have the attitude of they feel shy or not confident to say something outside of what the professor said. In fact, there are many other teachers who say, don't say anything, you can only repeat what the professor said. So, hey, Aaron, how do we know who to believe? If you agree that the test says explain, look up the definition of explain for yourself. The part that Andrea said he liked is the part of the definition that says, describe it in more detail. So we take the logic, we take the data that we've been given, and then with our own good intelligence, we bring more clarity to the situation. It doesn't have to be a lot. Let's say approximately 20%. 80% is still the information that we've already been given. Okay.
It can be, I recognize that way it can be a little bit challenging more, but if you are trained to do it, you can do it. You know, just thinking about a little bit more and trying to understand what details you can provide, and not only copy and paste.
Yes, Andrea, what is your preference to this question? What's your preference to this topic?
I absolutely prefer taking risk, because taking risk help in many reasons to grow with our skills, but not only skills. It help working out of our comfort zone can be helpful and boost our capacity to find limits and go further. I want to mention, for example, my experience as an entrepreneur. When I decided to be an entrepreneur, I wasn't able to do a lot of things, but in a way to go further of my limits and try to do it, I learn new skills, and I learn how to be more productive, and I enhance my abilities to talking, managing, marketing, and also having new relationship with collaborators and understand how to manage my business.
Okay, so I heard you saying growth, getting out of your comfort zone and expanding your limits. I'm going to use your arguments against you to challenge your topic development on this issue of taking risks versus avoiding danger. Number one, growth. Well, what if somebody says, hey, Andrea, you're wrong. Your idea isn't very strong. You're saying taking risks is better for growth, but I think avoiding danger is better for growth. Because if you're taking risks, the nature of risks, that means you're going to have big setbacks. You're going to have failures. That moves you backwards. That doesn't grow you forward. What would you say in response to that? How would you reply to that?
I reply saying that I think failures is the way to growth. If you don't fail, you don't know how to grow.
No,
If
but
you
I'm
remain in your
scared. I'm
comfort,
scared to fail, Andrea. What do you mean?
I mean that it's a process to learn. Failing, it's sometimes it's not a big fail. Sometimes are little mistakes and tiny steps and steps that help you to learn.
Good. I liked your arguments there. Okay, so I feel your idea is about an improved perspective, a growth mindset, a psychology that views even a failure as a growth because we're not just viewing it in the short term, we're also looking in the medium term and in the long term, or the midterm and the long term.
Okay.
So even like you're talking about being an entrepreneur, even
Yeah.
a small setback or a small failure, as society would more harshly want to criticize it as, personally, if we are viewing it as growth, if we are viewing it as a learning experience, then in any amount of time greater than the short term, it's a learning experience that we build off of. So if you agree with some of those ideas, I think the way that you could strengthen your answer to this question number one would be to talk about, and you can choose whatever you're more comfortable with, whatever you like better, the psychology, the attitude, the perspective, the growth mindset.
Failure, it's a limit. It's when you learn. At that point, there was your limit, and doing a failure, you find, oh my gosh, you find where you have to work, where you have to study, what topic you have to study, what details you have to enhance and grow with.
Good. Okay, so you're talking about it's a step to learn. So maybe when a test taker does not pass, and that's different than failing. Like if they're 1 point shy, or 2 points shy, I don't consider that a failure, neither should they. But maybe when a test taker, let's use the example of this test, doesn't pass, and okay, they might be devastated for a day or for a week. But after that, when you view it as that's a step, that was the best form of practice that you could do in preparation for the next test. So if we look at it for any length of time greater than just the immediate short term, we view it as a step. It's a constructive part of the process. Andrea, I also like the second part of what you're saying. It sounds like the idea I heard you expressing was it's kind of like we find our limit. We find the extent of our capacity. So while it does not feel good to learn that we do have a limit, it's right there that we find, hey, if you want to go further, this is the thing to improve on, and this is the thing to improve on. Back here, I didn't know what to improve on, but by getting to the limit of my capacity, now I can clearly see, okay, this is how this is what I have to focus on in order to go further and reach my goal.
Exactly. It's a knowledge of what or where you have to focus on. And actually, it's also a way to don't waste time and energies in other things. You know, if I fail in a test, in which part I failed? Okay, those part. Okay, I have to work, and now I have the knowledge of where to work and what I have to learn. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Good. Andrea, if I can talk to the test takers listening and watching to this, when Andrea said that, that reminds me of those of you who are waiting until you're ready to take the test. Andrea just said that if you just take it, even though you're not 100% certain that you're going to get all of your requirements, that will still move you closer to your goal because it's going to show you precisely what you need to work on. Whereas right now, it might be a little bit overwhelming because there are so many different things for you to be paying attention to. But once you get the test, then you can see more precisely. You'll be able to more efficiently put your energies towards the specific help that you need. Andrea, in regards to taking risks versus avoiding danger, you said that taking risks is better because it gets a person out of their comfort zone, which expands their limits. But what if somebody tells you, that's not necessarily a good thing. Okay, so I don't want to get out of I don't want to go climb a mountain and go skydiving. I don't want to go bungee jumping. I don't want to jump off of a mountain because, yeah, that would be getting me out of my comfort zone, like you said, and expand my limits. But that's something that would risk injury. That's something that could lead to an injury that takes me away from being a parent, that takes me away, that makes I cannot do as much with my family because of this out of the comfort zone stuff that you said. What would you say in response to that? How would you defend your argument?
I just want to defend it, taking the example of the mountain. We don't have to climb a mountain, but we have to try to climb the mountain in a way to develop our skills. Because when there will be a moment in life when you have a small obstacle, not a mountain, but just a tiny bump on the road, you don't know how to face it. And that's my idea, you know, just be prepared of what can be happen. And if you have the skills, my gosh, if you don't try to fail, you will fail. Okay.
If you don't okay. If you don't challenge yourself with bigger things, you will certainly fail with smaller things.
Exactly. That was my idea.
Nice. All right, I like it. Okay,
I like, as you said, it wasn't a mind, but I didn't express it in this way. It was perfect.
Yeah. That's why I give it to you. Feel welcome to say it a little bit like me, a little bit like yourself.
Can you repeat it again? Because
yes, and we have it recorded too, which is a great thing here. If I don't remember it exactly, but I think you're saying, if I don't challenge myself to succeed or fail with big things, then I will certainly fail with smaller things. However, if I prepare myself with big things, notice how I didn't say I have to succeed with big things. If I prepare myself with exposure to bigger challenges, then I'm more likely to succeed with the smaller, inevitable challenges. That was your good idea. Yeah. I only helped with the language use, but that was your topic development. Excellent. All right.
Great team.
All right. Good team. Yes. This is how we know that you're going to pass and get at least the score that you need, at least.
When I read about the TOEFL exam, I didn't really think much of it. I just thought, okay, you know, straightforward thing. It's an English exam. How difficult can it be?
The pharmacy board needs specifically 26 in speaking This helped me in passing my TOEFL exam. Erin helped me to pass and get 26.
Erin, actually, any words will not be enough. But really, I'm very thankful.
26 in speaking, and I finally got it, and I'm so excited to get to the next step in my pharmacist license.
Look at my accent, look at people who got 26. So just surround yourself with people who motivate you.
Look, I passed. That bit that's missing is probably the most important bit to get you to 26.
Yes.
And that's the bit where Aaron, I felt, helped me realize where I was going wrong. And that bit where I was going wrong, I think it goes for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you speak English is your first language or not. That bit that was missing is something everyone really needs to understand in order to get that 26.
Once you are in the level that you need to become advanced in order to get the 26, you need to get rid of the templates.
Template will hinder your ability to deliver the question, because it shows that you are reading something or you are not speaking, you are reading.
I was using completely different template or different way. I started to apply your way, and once I started to practice your way, oh, it's easy for me.
That was really good for me. It really helped me because with this in my mind, I could speak faster, and because I was confident.
It's challenging, but you know, after you pass it, the feeling of victory, it's worth it.
As English is my first language, I thought the speaking templates would be enough to get me the 26 that I needed. Unfortunately, it wasn't, and I only scored a 23. Your lack of getting 26 is not due to your speaking ability. It has been due to your less than optimal strategy. Get rid of the training wheels.
The templates were like, oh my God, why did they create those templates?
Aaron, you are a big helpful for students like us. We need somebody to like stir revolution in our heart inside, give life to our conversations. And this will never happen through other sites like they have exact traditional pattern, the template, first, second, for example. Don't say, for example, the second time, for instance. Really? And like robot, I felt myself without life. I don't have the freedom to speak.
You don't have to worry that much about how can I mention 2 reasons with 2 details or 2 examples. It's too much for me. You help students to increase their fluency.
Instead of following that speaking template or any other speaking template, trust your fluency.
For the students who are taking with you, trust this guy. He's amazing. He will shift or improve your level as soon as possible.
Like this, jump my score from 23 to 26, like this. How many hours I took with you? 5. Look at this. 5 hours in 2 weeks. I passed my test.
I hope you keep inspiring and helping more pharmacists and more other students to achieve their goal and become professionals here in the United States.
If I had just found you earlier.
For people who's really, they have concern and they need to do it very fast, go to the original, the source of help.
Go to Aaron. He's the guy. He was the guy for me, and hopefully he's the guy for you. And he'll set you straight. He'll tell you what you need to do to get that 26.